On the Elements of Style, a satire by Daniel Scott Batten. Strunk and White are wastepaper wits, confused with sumo and summo, adnisus est. Je suis non est, tu effaces on your faces. Methinks it a most notorious avenue to stroll the illustrious Aventine route of scholarship in match with meagre matches that in prevarication of fire has rubbed their heads clean of any match. Huddle near my sweetmeat philosophers and Hume-like witnesses that see and prove only what can be denied. Friends, no friends of mine can you be, but at the later end. Have you no grace, for in your chicken coupe I have de grace. Half you shall I have half of your wit, I could fart and smell myself and say, did Strunk or White speak their opine? For all their style and their witness, they can prove not but testers in sag and in dip of sewer well. For their minds are deep, but deep in an endless pit of pity and poorhouse construction. What then is your testimonial? Tête-à-tête, and in the measure all can you be is but contestari of my highness. Now for an explanation of the text, on the elements of style, a summation of the satire. Daniel Scott Batten's piece is a mock classical invective aimed at dismantling the false authority of the elements of style and the prescriptivist culture built around it. Through a blend of elevated diction, multilingual wordplay, and deliberately earthy satire, the text exposes Strunk and White as self-appointed arbiters of language whose rules lack depth, history, and intellectual seriousness. The opening lines deliver an immediate verdict. Strunk and White are wastepaper wits, pretenders who confuse assumption, sumo, with supremacy, summo, straining upward without merit. The multilingual flourish, je suis non est, underscores how their authority collapses when confronted with the richness of real linguistic tradition. The central section shifts into allegory. The Aventine route of scholarship evokes the Roman hill of secession, a place of principled refusal, suggesting that these so-called scholars parade down the avenues of learning with nothing but meagre matches, incapable of striking intellectual fire. The sweetmeat philosophers and Hume-like witnesses represent soft thinkers who prove only what can be denied, mistaking skepticism for insight. A moral turn follows. These are friends, no friends of mine, lacking grace, huddled in a chicken coop of cowardice. The satire then descends deliberately into Rabelaisian bodily humor, exposing the absurdity of prescriptive authority by contrasting lofty rhetoric with the honesty of the body. The pun on testes, witnesses, testicles, underscores that their testimony is sagging, empty, and rooted in a long tradition of false oaths. The final lines return to juridical language. What then is your testimonial? The answer is that their only function is to stand as contestari, witnesses not to truth, but to the superiority of the very voice they sought to correct. The satire ends with the speaker's rhetorical highness affirmed, not by self-praise, but by the poverty of the opposition. What the satire does exposes prescriptivism as shallow, fearful, and historically uninformed, mocks false authority through Latin, French, and English wordplay, uses classical invective to elevate the critique, uses bodily humor to puncture pretension, frames Strunk and White as overreaching minor figures in the vast genealogy of language, affirms rhetorical freedom over rule-bound smallness.